Hey, good morning. It's Wednesday morning. I can confidently tell you that today life is happening to me. It was a rough night. So I mean, a couple parts of this video. You know, yesterday the framer was building the roof system on the house in Ship Bottom, and the winds picked up all afternoon. So he got it framed, but he didn't get it sheathed. And then we had rain, like light rain scheduled in the middle of the night. So I kind of texted him to get, like the proposed rain time frame. So he was like, okay, so we should tarp it. So I went home yesterday afternoon and, did my normal thing, made dinner for my family. But I mean, my head was already spinning and buzzing. At that point, life was fully happening to me. I was completely out of sorts. My confidence was low. I felt, I was in the doom spiral, and I felt like, it just all felt like it was out of my control. I was trying to cook for my family, for my wife and my grandbabies, and my wife was like, "What's wrong with you?" And she, like, I wear everything. I wear all my emotions on my sleeve, which sucks sometimes for people. And she was like, "Why are you in a bad mood?" And I kind of snapped back, and I was like, I'm gonna be in a bad mood until I get through this night. The pressure was immense that I felt, because I'm at risk of like ruining the inside of the rest of the house that we've gone through all this process to try to salvage and not disrupt, and then they were calling for rain, and there was all there was the second floor, floor system. So I went there, like I shoveled some food into my face, and I drove over there at like 6:15 last night. And when I got there, they were trying to wrangle the tarp. And wrangling this tarp, I mean, it's a 40 by 60 whole house tarp, one of the blue things. And the wind was blowing. There was 30 mile an hour gusts. It was probably blowing at a steady 20 miles an hour, 15 to 20. And it was like fucking trying to wrestle a hot air balloon. I swear to God. It was whipping in the air. I mean, if I could post videos of it, I will. We had it tied. We got the one, so the wind was blowing south to north, so we were able to fasten it on the south side, which made the tarp blow across the roof line towards the north in the direction of the wind. But trying to wrestle that and get that down and secured, and then there really wasn't much to secure to on that side on the bottom. You know what I mean? Like, so that was that. So the framers probably left around 8. They got as much tarped as they could. I went in and did a little bit of plasticking and whatnot, but at this point I was kind of numb, and I was kind of numb and didn't feel like, I don't know, I was just kind of numbed by this experience. Certainly a weakness of mine. I was almost like frozen with anxiety at this point. So my wife, I got on the phone with my wife, and my wife says, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "I'm just gonna stay here. I'm gonna go buy some trash cans, and if there's any proposed leaks, I'm gonna do what I can to catch water to try to salvage as much as I can." When I put plastic in the one room, in the master bedroom, over their couch, that we put in there, and all their other furniture was covered, so I mean that was kind of protected, which was nice. The other room was loaded with furniture though, and I couldn't really get in there. So long story short is I talked to my friend, my dear friend Moses, a Brazilian guy who I've worked with for several years, and he said I'm leaving my house. I will be there, shortly to help you. And I told him at that point not to worry. Like, I was just gonna monitor in the night with like buckets and stuff, and that I was going to take a nap because I knew I was going to have to get up. So I went and fell asleep. Luckily for me, I know that people next door to the house where I'm working, they have an Airbnb, and so they were gracious enough to let me stay there for the night. So I was literally in the house next door. So I caught some sleep there. Well, to my surprise, Moses and his son came, and my daughter showed up to drop off stuff for me because I was sleeping there. And Moses and his son brought more tarps, and they went into the attic, and they put more tarps in the attic to try to catch more rain, which was awesome. I mean, they did a tremendous amount of work. I think they were there for 2 hours, and they did a tremendous amount of work and fastened it. And what it really allowed it to do was the water that got through the tarp and that the main roof tarp didn't catch kind of pulled on this other tarp at the edges, and I was able to go through with a piece of 2x6 and kind of push it up and get the water to drain over the sides. I mean, it wasn't perfect. There were several spots. One spot in the kitchen area, one spot in the front living room where water was coming. 2 spots sort of in the living room, and 1 spot in the kitchen area. The walls were papered, so I mean the walls were pretty secure. It was just some weak areas in the roof and whatnot, and some areas where bracing was. So Moses couldn't get the tarp to be completely foolproof. Though he did a tremendous job. And I'm blessed and I'm lucky to have a guy like him in my life, because he really just took charge, him and his son, and they really did an outstanding job, you know what I mean, and kept me well protected. And it's really nice to know that there are people in the world that care about you like that, you know what I mean? Like he has no vested interest in coming out there, other than the fact that he cares about me, and my family. And so I'm so appreciative and grateful to have somebody like him in my life. And then with that said, my daughter, as I had fallen asleep, she decided to go next door, and she made her way into the room with all the furniture, and she literally double plasticed everything, so that if any water did come through the ceiling, it wouldn't wreck any of their furniture. Which again, I'm so grateful to have her in my life to do that. I mean, it makes me kind of emotional, honestly, that they would do that for me. And so I'm grateful, very, very grateful. And then with that said, I got up at I didn't have an alarm set, but I didn't really sleep, obviously. I mean, I woke up at like 12:30 and there was nothing happening. And then I woke up just before 2 and looked and went outside to look, and it just started to drizzle at that point. So I grabbed my flashlight and I went next door into the house. And my daughter when she came to drop stuff off, she had brought 2 more trash cans and like 3 of those plastic totes, like big plastic totes. And I spent from, like 2 o'clock in the morning till about 4:30, just kind of moving them around to catch water that was, dripping in through the floor system above. And there was only on the first floor, on the finished part of the first floor, there was only like 2 areas that were concerning, and they were dripping. And the good thing is water runs to the path of least resistance and to the lowest point. So wherever it ran to, it was dripping out in a spot here and a spot there. So I was able to put something under there and catch that. So that was good. It did start to pour around 3:45 to 4 o'clock, pretty heavy. Like the radar. With the radar, there was a yellow spot that passed over us, and the storm was heading south to northeast. Well, I'm sorry, southwest, from southwest to northeast, basically. So there was a long yellow strip that kind of passed over the house, and it rained pretty steady for like 25 minutes, and a lot of water fell. I started to hear some substantial water on the second floor, that's just framed. And so I threw some totes and some trash cans up there, and I climbed up into that floor, into that level, and found the areas that were, that where the water was coming in. It seemed like the tarp in the northwest corner had blown up in the corner, and the rain was just coming straight in there. But that was an easier fix because I could just put a tote under that, and that caught the vast majority of that. Then there's a couple areas where the tarp was sagging in and filled with water, so I used a 2x6 and pushed on it up high and let the water sort of run off the side of the house. And then there was another spot, probably above the laundry room or something, where I put a trash can and a tote there as well to catch. And then the rain stopped, so I left the house and ran and drove home so I could take a shower and drink my espresso. And woke up. No, I've been awake, but blessed to see another day. And we're gonna go there, and Framer's gonna get the framing done and the sheathing on, and we're gonna paper everything today, so it should be watertight at the end of the day today. I will update my Instagram with pictures later on, of the tarp problem and whatnot, and then at the end of the day where we are with the waterproof. But that's what I got, man. Just want to again thank my daughter, thank my family for the support, and thank my dear friend Moses for his help. And that's it, man. Have a good day.